Probably no one you guys have requested more since I started these videos than Canada, so let's do it. But first we have to look to the history, because to me, this is one of the iconic teams of the Winter Olympics, and their design style has gone through many iterations across many different influences. There were the Santa Clauses in Sarajevo, the quintessentially Canadian Cowboys of Calgary, but to me, Canada really came to its own in Nagano in 1998 when they first worked with Roots, the Canadian brand that, in my mind, is what I think of when I think of Canada at the Olympics. Probably because I'm a child in the 90s. It was the first games I remember seeing are the ones where they were working with Roots, but they had these berets. It was so weird. It was a little odd looking, but it was iconic. The iconic things are not necessarily the coolest things. They're just the things that work. And to me, Roots did that. It was so iconic in those late 90s, early 2000s that for some reason Team USA partnered with them for Salt Lake in 2002. Don't know how a Canadian brand landed that, but it looked cool. The beret was awesome. So when they broke up with Roots and moved to Hudson's Bay, it kind of faltered for me. It didn't hit the same. But then in 2022, they signed a long-term partnership with Lululemon. Again, a Canadian brand, but a very different one. This is new school versus old school Canadiana, heritage stuff, and they've never attempted to be what Roots was. They've gone in a very Lululemon direction, and in 2022, the first one didn't really work for me. Paris was a lot better. I thought a lot of really wearable stuff, pretty good. But here, in Milan, I think they cracked the code. All of this stuff is awesome. I would wear any of it in a heartbeat if you gave it to me. I don't know if I'm going to buy Canadian gear because I'm not Canadian. It feels a little bit like stolen valor, but I just might, because some of this stuff is just awesome. It's also all really intentionally thought out. The design elements, the color story, they've explained this all in really great detail. This deep red that's almost a maroon, they've gone for the opening ceremonies because they want it to feel a little European, a little like Milan. But then for the medal ceremonies, they go into what they called the brightest red that they could print on their fabrics because they want you to know this is a Canadian. It's the classic red. These alpaca sweaters somewhere in between, and this, they call it a shacket. I want it so bad. But the one thing that stands out the most is that they somehow landed on green. Where does green come from for Canada? Because it's certainly not in the flag. It's not in any stuff you've seen before. And they said it's because it's the color of icebergs, which are not actually white. When you look close, they have all these deep blues and green hues in them. And that's what they went for here, and that's the closing ceremony. So I think it's really cool. It's not at all what I would say if you asked me what should Canada wear for the Olympics, but they did it. And the maple leaf designs really pop on some of this. This weird vest poncho thing, I couldn't pull it off in 1,000 years. I don't think you could either, and I'm pretty sure they're not even actually selling this one to the general public, but on an Olympian, that's gonna look awesome. Even the simple stuff, they've nailed it. This hoodie looks incredibly comfortable. I should know. I'm wearing a Lululemon hoodie right now. They make some of the best, but I'm no Sidney Crosby. It's all in all just a really great design. There's so many elements of Canada in there. The topography in that one, this is supposed to look like the marks we leave in the snow and the ice, and it's really thought out. I love all of it. I think they couldn't have done a better job. This is when I think Lululemon found its identity with Canada, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. Moving on to the sports, we can't talk Canada without talking hockey, and they're with Bauer now. They worked with Nike the past few Olympics. Good and bad there, mixed. I really hated the last one, and this Bauer one is not that different, but it does fix a lot of my problems, mainly that it looked like Nike forgot what a maple leaf looked like, and while Bauer is still giving us a modern maple leaf here, it looks a lot more like what we all know a maple leaf looks like. And I'd like if they could maybe go back in time a little bit, give us a more modern take on something like the Summit Series look. That is what I think of when I think of Hockey Canada. But all in all, pretty good. It's even gotten the attention of Marty Supreme himself. Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, if you're listening, Marty Supreme believes in you. And I mean, honestly, everything I've seen of Canada, I like. Across the board. Even something like speed skating, which is a very cool sport, and you look really cool when you're flying down the ice, but you look a little silly when you're standing around. Look at this. Like, that's pretty cool. It looks fast, but if you look close, there's also a little bit of plaid lumberjack action going on. So I love it. Ever since I started making these videos, my Instagram feed has just been taken over by athletes from different countries posting about their uniforms, and so that's how I stumbled upon the Canadian cross-country skiing uniforms, which again, not something I think of as the coolest sport. It's impressive still. You're Olympians. You're awesome. You can do stuff I could never do, but it feels a little like it's not the coolest, but look at this. They break away from the standard red and white and black and bring in some more color there. I think it's awesome. Really gonna stand out in the snow. I don't want to go crazy here, and I know some people don't love the Lulu stuff as much as I do, but it feels like an 8.9 to me. Let me know what we should look at next.